Welcome. This is your boy, Wealthy Royalty, back again with another quality, and this is a place where you come to stay, where lives are being changed and impacted each and every day. Now, today I have with me, a family of mine, Rhoda Simms, who will be sharing a little bit about her journey. We'll get deep down into that, and you will be able to know if you are on a journey like her or similar, you will be able to get some inspiration.
Hold me close, let your love surround me. Bring me near, draw me to your side. And as I wait, I'll rise up like the eagle, and I will soar with you. Your spirit leads me on by the power of your love.
Mercy. Years I've never ever known of Rhoda any at all. It was just recent times that you would have visited Jamaica, right? And that's where I would have found out that I have a cousin who is connected from my father's side, which I didn't even know. Found out that you were a part of pageantry, right? And that's what inspired and, caused us to have a conversation around, hey, you know what? Let's see if you can be able to let the world know what you're doing, what you're up to, your contributions and your journey. So today, Rhoda, how you feel? How you feel?
Hello, I'm feeling great. I'm so excited to be on this interview, be here live with you all. Thank you to everybody who's out there watching. We really appreciate you. As my wonderful cousin just said, my name is Rhoda. I live here in the United States, and we are cousins, but we just kind of found out about that. I am also your current International United Miss Maryland Teen. Just came back from internationals in Orlando, Florida. We might get a little bit more into that, but that's me. I'm happy to be here and thank you so much for the opportunity.
Awesome sauce, man. Thank you so much for taking the time out as well, just to be here because you could have been somewhere else, but your time is valued, and I want to tell you thank you so much for that. All right.
Of
Now,
course.
just to lighten up the mood a bit before we get into it, I just want to find out from you, right? If you could have a conversation with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
I would definitely want to have a conversation with Madam C.J. Walker. I believe she was the first Black female self-made millionaire, and she sold her own line of hair care products. And she started out basically from the bottom with nothing, with nobody in her corner. She had like hair loss issues, and then she worked for another woman who created hair products, but she kind of sold them in not very honest means. So then she decided to go on her own and start her own business using some of that experience and using her own personal experiences with hair loss to then market this product honestly and get people to buy this hair growth product. And then she expanded her business. She bought her own factory. She got her whole family in on the business. And now she is kind of immortalized in history as this amazing woman, this amazing Black woman who started from nothing and built up to, her wildest dreams, even beyond that. And I think it really shows that when you have that tenacity, when you believe that God has a true, amazing purpose for you, and you also take the action that shows that you have that belief that you can do amazing things. So that's why I would want to have that conversation with her.
So she's a woman who thinks out of the box, innovative. She's a go-getter, and I
Yes.
think that definitely that's the kind of spirit that you want to have inside as well. And with that, another question that came to my mind is, what legacy do you want to leave behind? You are such a strong, beautiful Black woman. What legacy do you really think would impact others? If you should say, hey, I have lived out my purpose, I have fulfilled it. What legacy?
Absolutely. So thank you for that question. I think it's an amazing question to have an amazing question that I think everybody needs to be able to answer to. It is important to know what you want to leave behind on this earth, know what you want to show to other people with your life and what you want to be able to bring to the table. And for me personally, that is really all about like confidence and self-esteem. I would say the legacy that I want to leave behind is instilling a really strong sense of self-worth into our youth. You know, 95% of teens today, children today suffer from low confidence, low self-esteem. And that
Yeah.
just kind of starts like a domino effect of just so many other issues, bullying,
Mhm.
all these different things. And I want to kind of nip that in the bud. And that's why I want to leave a lasting legacy of confidence, which is why, through pageantry, through my platform, through my charity work, I always work at the bottom line to help kids be more confident, help them pour confidence into others, and help them really understand that they have value, that they have purpose, and that nobody can take it from them.
That is it. That is it. You know, you said a word a while ago. You said confidence, and there's a song sung by one of our artists out here, John Mark Wigan. It goes like this: Confidence, walking in God's favors now. I know who I am. Confidence. So it's really a wonderful thing. And I believe that confidence is very important in this time. Because so many persons. When I look out there in the world, what I'm really seeing is a lot of persons. They have potential. They have greatness in them, and what they're doing is they're looking at other persons and comparing themselves, and with that, it dims their light, it dims their confidence, and so for one of your, greatest thing that you want to do, which is to ensure that you boost that confidence in others, that's really something that I support you on, and that's something that I live to do as well, so yes, continue to do it, and I know that you will, and you have been doing it. So
Thank you.
continue to get that done. We spoke on your journey, right? A little bit, but now we're gonna go in depth on why it is, that you would have thought of going into pageantry. Why? Why? What inspired you to want to be a Miss Pageant?
Absolutely. So, starting out with pageants when I was just about 12 years old is the first time I really heard about it as something that I could do. Because, I'd seen, Miss World, Miss Universe, Miss USA on TV, but I never really thought that was something that I could be a part of. Until one day, one of my mom's friends, her daughter did this pageant called National American Miss. She did a local state pageant in our area, and we're like, hey, let's go and see what it's about. Let's go support her. And we did. And as soon as I saw like all the sparkling dresses and the crowns and everything, I was like, Mom, can I please do this pageant? And she was like,
Yeah.
okay, I guess we can try one pageant. And at that state pageant, I was third runner-up to the title of National American Miss Maryland Preteen. And my mom was like, okay, so that's it, right? And I was like, can I come back next year? And then I went back.
Mhm.
It was actually the third time I competed before I even won a state title. That was Miss Maryland Teen because I had aged up those years that I was competing.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to keep on going. And I really found a passion and a purpose through those years of competing and through those years of maturing that really
Mhm.
went beyond obviously just wanting a crown, just wanting like recognition and attention.
Yeah.
I really found a purpose in it. And I found that that purpose was really pageantry challenged me to become the best version of myself. Pageantry challenged me to ask difficult questions about myself. Because, especially, like what you just asked me, what do you want to leave as your legacy? That might be an interview question for a pageant. And a lot
Yeah.
of people don't really get to the place in their life where they think about what kind of legacy they want to leave until they're much
Mhm.
older than I am. I'm 20 for a reference. But a lot of people
Yes.
don't really think about that until they're much, much older. And I feel
Mhm.
like that's kind of a huge problem because you need to know what you're bringing to the table. You need to know what you want to leave behind because none of us know when we're going to go. And what I
Yeah.
like about pageantry is that it really challenges you and forces you to think about those things, to think about what differences are you making? What
Yes.
differences can you make? How can you do more? How can you give back more to your community? And
Mhm.
it focuses on taking action, and rewards the girls who do take that action. So that's what I really love about pageantry, and that's why that's kind of why I stayed with it. That's not why I got into it. Because,
Yeah.
when you're just like a 12-year-old, you're like, oh, this looks fun. I want a
Yeah.
sparkly crown. I want a fancy dress. But
That's
as I
right.
got older, as I matured, I really saw the purpose in it, and that's what keeps me going back.
Mm. and you said you started at what age was that
12.
first time you went? At 12, and you said that you went 3 times. Because you would have actually said that, you know what, I like this, I'm going again, and there was definitely something that you had inside of you. Is it that you saw where, hey, I don't want to just do this because I saw what I like, but is it that you saw where you wanted to leave an impact differently, and that is where you saw it at the time where you could do that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because if it's just about just winning, then of course,
Yeah.
once I won that first time, I would have been done. But I saw that there was
Hmm.
really a higher purpose and a higher calling beyond that, to challenge myself and also to challenge others, not
Yes.
just to have more self-esteem, not just to be more confident or just say X, Y, and Z about myself, but to really mean it, to really go
Hmm.
after your dreams, to really take action. And being that kind of
Yes.
ambassador and being that kind of role model for girls, it doesn't stop. So that's why I keep going
That's
year
true.
after year.
I just want to say, a huge, huge, huge congrats to you for even just making a bold step,
Thank you.
you know, to go into that, because there are so many persons who would shy away from, doing any competition because they may think that others may look at them, they may speak of them, especially if you may grow up with certain, insecurities. You may be thinking that, boy, I feel this certain type of way about myself, and that might could have, made it dim your light or shy away from it, but you didn't, and with that, I just want to know, because I'm curious a bit, like, in this pageantry, right? How can a beauty pageant contribute positively though to society? What are some things that they can do to contribute positively to society?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that pageantry, unfortunately, is probably the industry with the worst PR and the worst press in recent years. Because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if internationally people are aware, but toddlers and tiaras was a huge thing in the US where it was just these like very, very
Mm-hmm.
bratty, like very young girls who did pageants. And a lot of the times you would see their moms being very mean to even their own daughters or being mean to other contestants or being mean to the other moms. So it was a lot of like catfighting and a lot of toxicity
Mm-hmm.
in that show. And then that was a lot of it was a reality TV show on TLC. And that was a lot of people's first introduction to anything in the realm of pageantry. So that immediately put a bad taste in people's mouth. And after that, there's been several other now documentaries about like more known pageant systems like Miss America or Miss USA, where
Mm-hmm.
contestants talk about the negative experiences that they had, which of course, I think they should talk about that. If they were wronged by a certain organization or a certain like state directorship, I think they should definitely talk about that. But
Yes.
just because people already had a bad taste in their mouth with pageantry, and then
Mm-hmm.
this kind of made it worse.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't really see what pageantry is like behind the scenes beyond those bad representations of it. But beauty pageants can have such a positive impact on society and on young girls in so many different ways, and even on the community,
Yeah.
because a lot of pageants these days, like the pageant system I competed in first, NAM or National American Miss, they have a required component of community service. You
Mm-hmm.
have to do a certain amount of donations if you want to compete in the pageant. So just by competing, you are required to give back to your community. And that is honestly common practice in most pageants these days. A lot of pageants nowadays are not just about beauty, they even have part of the requirements or part of the expectations is that you will do service that contributes to a presidential service award, where
Yeah.
those awards are not easy to get. You have to have hundreds of hours to be eligible for them. So that's a real part of a lot of pageants where you have to do that service. And then on
Mm-hmm.
top of that, most pageants these days, most pageants that are called scholarship pageants, where like Miss America, where they do give out college scholarships, but those scholarship pageants, they also encourage you and basically require you to have your own personal platform. And that is kind of your own service initiative, what you're passionate about. Like, for example, some girls, they had family members who passed away from breast cancer. So their platform is breast cancer and awareness about it and raising money. There are so many pageant girls who have been given the platform through pageantry to raise $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 for
Mm-hmm.
that cause because of pageantry, because it really promotes that philanthropic spirit in people. And when you have all these women and men too, because there are directors who are men and judges and everything, when you kind of get together and support each other in your goals when it comes to the philanthropy, it really creates such a lasting impact. I mean, there was one specific instance where, unfortunately, very, very tragically, one of our pageant sisters, her name was Cadence Frederickson, she passed away in a car accident. And it was incredibly heartbreaking. But what happened is, though, even though she passed away, her legacy did not. And
Yeah.
her platform, Kata's Promise, which gives free teddy bears and stuffed animals to kids in need,
Mhm.
got, like, I'm telling you, probably millions of teddy bears were donated through, because all the other like every pageant system has been pitching in and getting people to be ambassadors for Kata's Promise for their different states, so that every single state in the United States and probably beyond at this point too can
Yeah.
be part of that difference, be a part of that legacy, and make her legacy worthwhile and remembered. So it really, there's so many different things behind the scenes that people don't see, where
Mhm.
pageant girls are giving back, promoting their communities, always making sure that they have a heart for service, because that is really
Yes.
at the heart of pageantry.
Wow. You touched on some points, especially where you mentioned that there are a lot of things that are done behind, closed doors that people won't see. And I have a very good friend of mine, which you are going to be introduced to very soon. She's going to also be here on this channel, Kimon Young. She would have recently won, in one of the pageantry that she had here, Mrs. Universe in Jamaica. And I would have seen different ways how she does things, as her in her profession daily, she does what she does, but in other things, she does other stuff. And I'm like, oh, those are a lot, but I'm seeing, as you mentioned, the customer service, the impact, with the lives of others around. And so it's really something that, you will have to put in the hours, and you mentioned a part as well there that, if you don't have certain hours, you might not be selected for a certain, post or so, or even to represent, in a certain space in the country, right? And so those are some very important things. So it's a must that you do that community service whilst in a pageant. That's one of the most.
Absolutely. In the majority of pageant systems, they require that you have a lasting impact on your community, and that's
Yeah.
what I really do love.
So what you really do love, I want to know, right? See that you do love it. What makes you stand out differently from all other contestants? You recently just came from a pageant, and I want to know what really makes you stand out, what makes you unique.
I believe what makes me unique is my very down to earth spirit. I
Mm.
am ready to just talk to anybody and everybody at the pageant. Clearly being on this interview, I love to talk. And I
Yes.
believe that that friendliness and that openness really makes me stand out. But also, what makes me stand out is my ambition and my tenacity. I don't just say I'm going to do certain things, I really do them. And I really go after my goals 120%. For example, with my platform, Creating Her Inner Confidence or Chic. I didn't just, post something on social media and say, like, you should be confident, right? Because that's very surface level. And of course, it might still help people, but for me personally, that's just not enough. So the action that I did was, of course, this past summer, before I went to the pageant, I went to Jamaica for a little over a week and I did participated in a missions trip
Mhm.
with my church family, but I also, with my platform, I did a confidence workshop, or actually multiple confidence workshops across different parts of Jamaica. We went to Duane Park Primary School, where I did a confidence workshop for over 150 kids. I handed out confidence kits, which is kind of like a kit with hygiene essentials for kids in need, with a journal so that they can write about their self-esteem, and with
Mhm.
contact info so that they can contact me and be a part of my mentorship program that's under my platform. So when I go to, go overseas to do these confidence workshops to multiple kids to make sure that they're actually receiving these words, to make sure they're actually understanding and not just, posting something on Instagram and calling it a day. I believe that's truly what sets me apart. I really do the action, I really make the difference, and I really go all the way.
Wow, wow, wow. So profound, big moves,
Thank
and for
you.
sure that
Yes,
that is unique, and you're not just looking at what you can do in the moment, but you can see as a ripple effect, that cause to have other persons impacted, even after your presence is not there physically, in
absolutely.
that
Exactly.
space.
That's the goal.
Yeah, yeah. So that's really a very huge thing, and you have been on the right path. I'm very proud of you, trust me, a lot
Thank
of
you.
people, they don't have, as you mentioned, that tenacity, that kind of resilience, because I know for sure you would have gone through some tough path, and hurdles that you had to cross, you
Oh,
know.
yes.
For sure it would have made you feel sometimes like you want to give up, but you keep pressing on, and I know for sure that that is something that you look at the goal in mind, the impact in mind.
Yes.
I want to break it down a bit, like deeper than all that you would have shared just now, right? If you were to look at yourself and say, hey, if I won Miss Pageant, today, what would be the first thing you would address internationally or locally in your country?
So the first thing that I would address, I mean, as a pageant girl, I definitely have this question in mind all the time. But if I were to win, and I do believe that one day God is going to bless me with that big title.
Mhm.
So because of that, I believe that I need to know what I'm going to do with it, right? So the
Yes.
first thing that I would
Um,
do is launch my Chic, or Creating Her Inner Confidence, International Ambassadorship program.
mhm.
And that program is so that I can create a lasting legacy, not just through me, but also through other people. So those other budding leaders and people who are mentoring others, people who are beginning to become role models, when they need that platform to really step into, that's what I will provide for them through that ambassadorship program. So right now, I'm actually working on a book called The Chic Girl's Guide under my platform, all about confidence, mostly geared towards, young women and really helping them build that self-esteem and start that journey of self-esteem. So every ambassador in this program will receive that book, will receive the tools and the knowledge and the resources, especially online resources, to host their own chic workshops, to pack their own chic confidence kits, and really start to make a difference in their own communities, that will have this interconnected web and this network of leaders who want to support confidence, because I truly believe that is the number one issue with our youth today. They don't have self-esteem, they don't have confidence. And if they do have it, a lot of the times it's not in the right things or for the right
Yes.
reasons. So we
Mhm.
need to give them that proper foundation of confidence, of self-worth, that is rooted in Christ, number one, but also who you are, your personality, what can
Yeah.
you bring to the table, what are your strengths, and
Mhm.
how do you help others? That's a huge part of creating her inner confidence. How do you help others? How do you help your peers? You know, and bringing all that together in this web, because ambassadors, they're also helping each other. When we have that collaboration, that is the biggest thing that I want to create, and that I am taking the action to do so.
To do. Wow, wow. You said, is it sheet or is it chic?
She creating her inner confidence.
Oh, creating her inner confidence. Wow, wow. You're all about confidence, trust me. And I know for sure that anybody who is here, you're listening and you're suffering or you're struggling, from self-esteem issue, lack of confidence, I have the right person here for you to connect with. Rhoda is there. If you want to connect with her, we're gonna give you the details, further down so you
Absolutely.
can be able to connect with her, because confidence, I believe, is important. You can walk in any room bold, you can be there and
Exactly.
speak, you know what I mean? And everybody should be able to understand that your presence is felt. You're not trying to be what we call cocky and want to be seen.
Right, exactly. It's
No,
not about that. It's also about
never.
being humble.
Yeah,
Confident people are still humble. So it's
yeah,
not about being arrogant or always having an attitude or thinking that you're better than everybody else. It's just about knowing the worth and who you are.
that is right. That is right. So nobody can belittle you and actually have you feeling less than. So, that's
Exactly.
very important, very, very important. And as a female, there are a lot of things I'm seeing right now in society, Rhoda, where there are a lot of things being done to females. The pressures coming on to the females. Men are treating women badly. Men are actually, I guess, putting women to their grave, in different ways. And I'm like, wow, this is just so terrifying, it's so terrible,
Yes.
and I sometimes when I look at how the society is going, I wonder if men really don't love women again, and with that, I always wonder, like, from an individual in your capacity, as a female who is a part of a pageant, and you have these various pageantries that you would be interested in, what are some of the, or what would you, see as a most pressing issue on your heart right now that women are facing today? What is that pressing issue and how would you address it, if you were to be in that position to address anything of that sort?
Absolutely. So there are a lot of different issues plaguing women in terms of like gender relations. A lot of things are very, very high tension right now due to
Mhm.
numerous different factors. But one of the things that is particularly on my heart, because as somebody who lives in the state of Maryland in the United States, this is something that affects our state a lot more than others. And that is the issue of child marriage. So that is one thing that, really disproportionately affects women because even though it's child marriage, usually the female is the child and the male is an adult, right?
Yeah.
And that's where you see a lot of these like predatory relationships where girls as young as 12, anywhere from 12 to 16
Mhm.
are not protected by their own families, not protected by their parents. And because the law in Maryland, right, is that typically children cannot get married, right? Of course.
Yeah.
But if you get the parents or the legal guardian to sign a paper and you're under the age of 18, you can still get married, right? And I believe that this is of course a problem because it traps women
Mhm.
in marriages they can't escape from. It creates, an unhealthy power dynamic because a 12-year-old and a grown adult, that's not right. That's not supposed to be happening.
Not at
But it is
all.
happening, even though this is supposed to be, first world country and all that.
Yeah.
And Maryland isn't the only state where that's the case, where that's the law. It happens in many other states. So one of the things that I do with part of my advocacy group, one of them is called the Maryland Student Legislature, where the
Mhm.
students get together from across the state and we, write our own bills and we argue them with the other students and we try to pass them. And if they get passed, we actually petition the real politicians to change those laws. So that's one of the things that I am starting. That is one of the bill that I'm going to be writing for this year's annual session at the student legislature, where we actually go to the state house and do this kind of like a model debate style, but it actually does get real laws to be petitioned. Right. Because when I heard about that law, I was like, there's no
Yeah.
way this is happening in my own state. It literally could just be
Mhm.
basically in your backyard. That there is a
Mhm.
young girl who doesn't, know anything about the world, doesn't know anything about life, but she is basically being trapped in this marriage with this predatory person for basically life, right? And you think, oh, that only probably happens in like South Asia or whatever, or other like, or small third world countries, but no, it
Yeah.
happens here. And I think that starting here in the US, where I am from, is the first step to getting rid of this issue because
Mhm.
it shouldn't be the case. In 2025, come on. Why is this still a
Yeah.
problem?
Wow. Wow. That's ridiculous though. Like, if I heard 18 to be married at, yeah, I understand. That is fine. Because, we here in Jamaica, would say that the age of consent would be at 18.
18,
But
right.
to have somebody such a tender age, they don't even know their foot from the head properly, to
Exactly.
give them that legal, go ahead to get married. It's madness,
Yeah.
and boy, I just leave that one for another time. But for sure, that is definitely a issue, especially for females, the younger young ladies. But sometimes though, although it's gonna dig up something else, but some of these young ladies, they love older men, and that is
Yeah, well,
what.
that's another issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's another issue. It's again, there's a lot of different reasons why that is. And why like they're not raised in a good home. They're not taught that like, certain relationship dynamics are not exactly safe. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of different issues that we have to address, but we need to address them because a 12-year-old and some like 30-something-year-old man, like that can't be happening. We can just we can't be doing that,
No,
you know? Um, so it's definitely
not
something
at
that needs
all,
to
not at all.
change.
Hmm. For sure, for sure. I just want to, before we wrap it up, just want to find out one other thing, which has been, on my mind right now in the news, right? Because locally, of course, there are a lot of different things, females being kidnapped and, missing for quite some time. That's definitely one of the things that is very prominent in Jamaica, But what right now is a recent news that are a story within the news that has really, touched you, or impacted you, and you've seen it as something that truly, affects you. What is that one thing, if there is any, and why did it affect you in the way it does?
So there have been so many issues and so many stories in the news. It's hard to even pick one right now. I'm sure you guys can guess why that is.
Oh,
But I think one that um,
yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
touched my heart
Mm-hmm.
was with the Texas flooding and the way that
Mm,
on the news we really saw like entire cabins full of people just washing down, you
yeah.
know, entire people were so displaced, things were destroyed, people's lives were lost, most importantly. And it
Mm-hmm.
really showed me that not only do we need to maybe improve our infrastructure in the country because it shouldn't take some rain to just completely desecrate neighborhoods like that and completely, just take all these people's lives. But also, it really made me appreciate the community that we can have in this country if we really try to, because there are so many things that people are extremely polarized on and
Yeah.
you get a lot of hate from various different sides, right? But I
Yes,
do
ma'am.
appreciate that at least when there's a tragedy that happens, that we as a nation can say, this is terrible. How can I help you? How can I support you? We put money into, helping these families. We try our best to donate. We try our best to pray for these families, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it really
Mm-hmm.
reminded me that all hope is not lost in this country, that we can band together and we can um, help when the situation gets so dire. And that's what I really appreciate about um, the things that are going on here. And we definitely need to continue to make that more evident, have more collaboration, have more working together to solve problems rather than just attacking each other over things because when there is a tragedy, we do it, but we don't need to always have to wait for a tragedy. We need to take the action
That
and take the steps that need to
mm,
happen for things to improve. We need to take them before something so drastic happens.
happens. Mercy. You said it, you said it. And I always say, I have this little mantra, teamwork makes the vision work, and when you come together, there is nothing greater than unity, and when people who have the same kind of mindset and wants to get the same outcome, really come together, despite whatever differences might be there in the midst, it makes a difference. And so that, yeah, when I heard of that story, I was like, wow, some person may look at it as, boy, God, wicked, oh, God, for allow that, or for allow this, and, so many kids and people, lives are gone, but we are living in a time that we have to all even take account of how we live, because just like that, we can be gone in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye,
Exactly.
and so it even makes me, even reach out to persons like yourself, other persons who we have close to us, to encourage to, hey, continue to keep your head up, continue to live righteously, continue to live as best as possible that you can each day. People will say, live your life, they will say you only live once, and so you would live it and enjoy it recklessly. But I say, live your life, but live it intentionally and purposefully, and so you have been doing that, and you have been really
Thank you.
leaving the impact. You're welcome, long-lasting impact. And I must say, I'm extremely proud. When mommy told me that you would have actually, I think it was third that you came in your recent pageantry. That
Yes, I
you
was third runner-up to the international teen title.
congrats, man. That's a huge thing because that is a big thing where you are in Maryland, right?
Yes, yes, it definitely is. So the pageant was in Florida and
Yeah,
yeah, in Orlando was where I competed for the whole week. So it is a
yeah.
jam-packed week. It's very busy. Can be a very difficult thing, but overall I came home with I wasn't empty-handed. I came home with the overall spokesmodel, which is like a speech competition, and the overall photogenic award. And then top five. I was in the top five out of so many amazing women. Let me tell you that all the delegates were amazing women, accomplished, sweet, hardworking, amazing. And I'm just so blessed to be able to do that well in such an amazing group.
Oh, yes, man. That is it. That is it. Such an awesome way to end, with such a success story. Just the same. I always say it, you may not be the number one in the competition, but you are always the winner. So whether it is that you came third runner up or you came as the second place person, you are still the winner, and the winner is inside you. And so wherever you go, you
Exactly.
represent yourself and your country just the same, especially in your capacity that you serve, and so just always go. And I know for sure that, yes, that number one spot to know that, yes, you are crowned as, that Miss Pageant Rhoda for this or that specific, era is going to be something that will be a reality. So I just want to continue to implore you to push forward, and never, ever, ever give up, press on, because for sure
Thank you.
you're going to make a difference as you have been doing and continue to do. There are persons out there, just like you, they're interested in pageantry, they're interested in doing something that they love, but there's some kind of, timid feeling. They don't have that confidence that you spoke of. What would your encouragement be to this person so that they can be able to press forward in confidence and make it happen? As a matter of fact, to take the risk.
Yes. Well, first of all, beyond just taking the risk, I'm going to tell you right here and now, you are so much stronger than you know. A lot of us, we doubt ourselves, we downplay ourselves, we small up ourselves in all these different ways, right? To either fit in or to avoid attention or not to do too much. But sometimes you just need to believe in yourself. Sometimes you just need to believe in who God has called you to be and the purpose that God has for your life. Because sometimes we want to do the small things when God has big things in store for us. So you are so much stronger than you know. You can go out there, you can achieve what you're destined to achieve. You can make a difference and you can change people's minds. That's the number one thing I want to tell you. So if you're ready to jump into that confidence, that leadership, into, being who God has called you to be, I am here to support you along your journey. I have something called my Big Sister Mentorship Program, where I am a big sister to you who may just need that guidance. I will provide that guidance. I will check up on you. I will,
Yeah.
give you a little talking to if you need a talking to, if you need to be hyped up, you need somebody to really just instill that you can do it kind of attitude. I have that. And I have right here, this is my, one of my, oh, I'm not sure if it's going to show, but one of my cards.
And put it back, carry, yeah, right there says
And
good.
this has a little QR code, which I will um, give to my cousin here so that he has that
Yeah.
link and he will post that link. And when you click on that link, it gives you a link tree and it has a link to download my book. It has a link to, get in touch with me, connect with me, and I can give you those next steps to if you want to join the ambassador program, or if you're not ready for that just yet, that's okay. You're just starting out your journey. You can be a mentee. We can mentor you in the Big Sister Mentorship Program, or whatever else you need. If you just need somebody to check in on you from time to time, that's great too. I'm there for you to be able to do that. So just scan that QR code or click on the link in the description, and all of that is at your fingertips.
Oh, yes, beautiful things, wonderful things happening, and I know that somebody would have felt a little bit more encouraged to make that bold step step.
Yes, I hope so.
Yes, I do trust and hope so. It was really a good catch up, and I know for sure that you are going to continue to do your best in your neighborhood and your country and community. So I just want to say thank you so much again, Rhoda, for coming out, and just being here representing, as a queen, as a beautiful Black woman who is making bold steps and leaving an impact confidently in society. So thank you so much for being here. And I know and I trust that my different viewers, you would have gotten some information that would be useful and helpful to you in this time and even going forward. So I just want to say thank you for coming by. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you're already a part of the royalty family and community. Remember, you can always come back and view these videos. So share, and this is not just to share for persons who are, just interested in this video. It can be for other persons. You may never know that something will be here that they can learn from. So, remember, this is a place where you come to stay, where lives are being changed and impacted each and every day. So, it's me right here with Royalty and Rhoda from over there in the overseas. Saying bye to you for now, and we will catch up on the next content. Blessings to you.